Hey guys, what's up? Today we're gonna speak about HMS Cambeltown in World of Warships, Tier 3 Premium Destroyer, one from two British ships available in a game so far. Cost of this ship is 1,650 doubloons. As you can know from the last patch, it's available in a tech tree and you can buy it from the in-game premium store or basically in-game tech tree without awaiting for any promotion. Is it worth? Well, stay with me and I will tell you, but first let's do some history, as she had very interesting service and I'm just wondering why we just don't have any Hollywood movie about this. Well, okay, HMS Cambeltown previously was known as USS Buchanan. She was a VIX-class destroyer ordered from the Bath Iron Works and laid down on 29 June 1918. She was launched on 2nd January 1919 and commissioned into Navy on 20th of January. She had a typical interwar carrier. She was placed in the reserve in 1939, just before the war started. She then became one of 50 destroyers transferred to the Royal Navy in 1940 after the finalization of the Destroyers for Bases agreement. She was transferred on 3rd of September 1940 and commissioned on 19 September at Halifax, Canada. In the Destroyers for Bases agreement between the United States and United Kingdom on September 2nd of 1940, 50 mothballed Caldwell, Vickers and Clemson class US Navy destroyers were transferred to the Royal Navy from the United States Navy in exchange for land rights on British possession, which means that US grant land in various British possession for establishment of naval and air bases on 99-year rent-free lease. Generally it was very good and was referred to as 1200-ton type destroyers. Those became the Town class and were named after towns common to both the United States and Britain. They were known as four pipers or four stackers because they had four smokestacks, four funnels. Also, they were known as flash decks. Later, this class of destroyers typically had one or two smokestacks. Roughly contemporaneous of the British V and W class destroyers, they were not much liked by their new crews. They were uncomfortable and wet, working badly in a seaway. Their hull lines were rather narrow and herring-gutted, which gave them a vicious roll. The officers didn't like the way they handled it either, since they had been built with propellers that turned the same way. So two-screw ships normally have two shafts turning in opposite direction, as the direction of rotation has effects on the rudder and the whole ships when maneuvering, especially when coming alongside. So those were awkward and handled as single screw ships. Their turning circle was enormous, as big as most Royal Navy ships, making them very difficult to use in submarine hunt, which demanded tight maneuvers, compounded by unreliable chain and cock steering gear laid across the main deck. They also had fully enclosed bridges, which caused problems with reflection in the glass at night. Despite their disadvantages, they performed vital duties escorting convoys in the Atlantic at the time when the U-boats operating from the newly acquired bases on the Atlantic coast of France were becoming an increasingly serious threat for British shipping. The original armament was 4-inch, so 102mm guns, one 3-inch 76mm anti-aircraft guns and 12 torpedo tubes. On the Vickers class, the 4-inch gun placement was one gun in a shield on the forecastle and one on the quarterdeck, and one each side on a platform between the number 2 and 3 funnels. So the Admiralty prompt removed one 4-inch guns and 6 torpedo tubes to improve stability, and 23 of the class had further armament reductions for anti-submarine escort or trade convoys. 2 of the remaining 4-inch guns and 3 of remaining torpedo tubes were removed to allow increased discharge, stowage and installation of Hedgehog anti-submarine mortar system. We don't have this in World of Warships, but that was the history. Campbelltown overall began the Devonport repairs on January 1942, and here is the big boom, the big plot. During this time, she was selected for a special operation and was withdrawn from regular service for modifications. She was to be used in Operation Chariot, a planned assault operation on the docks of St Nazaire in 1942. The German battleship Tirpitz was anchored in Trondheim in Norway. Was considered to present a grave threat to Atlantic convoys. So, should the Tirpitz enter the Atlantic, the Louis Joubert dry dock at St Nazaire, which had originally been built for the liner SS Normandy, was a vital target. It was the only German-held dry dock on the European coast for the Atlantic that was large enough to service the battleship. If this dry dock could be put out of action, any offensive sortie by Tirpitz in the Atlantic would be much more dangerous for the Kriegsmarine to carry out, making it less likely they had to with deploying her. So, the Campbeltown was set with explosive charge consisting of 24 marked depth charges containing a total of 4.1 tons of Amatol high explosive. It was fitted into steel tank installed just behind the steel pillars that supported her most forward gun mount. The charges were to be detonated by multiple 8-hour time pencils connected together by cord jacks, set before steaming out and cemented into to prevent any interference with the detonation. At around 2 a.m. on 28 March, 4 minutes later than planned, Campbeltown rammed the dock gate. The commandos and ship's crew came ashore under heavy German fire and set about demolishing the dock machinery. 169 of the riders were killed, 64 commandos and 105 sailors out of 611 men in the attacking force. Of the survivors, 215 were captured and 222 were evacuated by the surviving small craft. A further 5 evaded capture and traveled overland through France to Spain and then to Gibraltar, British territory. The charges in Campbeltown exploded at noon, and hour and a half later than the British had expected. Although the ships had been searched by the Germans, the explosive had not been detected, so the diversion was very good. The explosion killed around 250 German soldiers which were around, and unknown of number of French civilians, unfortunately. It also demolished both the front half of the destroyer and the 160 short tons of caissons of the dry dock, with the rush of water into the dry dock washing the remains of the ship into it. So the St Nazaire dry dock was rendered unusable for the rest of the war. The dock was repaired at 1947, if I remember correctly. Of course, it happens good that the mission was successful. Of course, it was occupied with many casualties on both sides. However, it prevented for Tirpitz to sail on the Atlantic, and probably for Allies that would be much dangerous if he could sail on the Atlantic. So that's the history, guys. The Campbeltown was the main star here. So I think it was the most famous of town-class destroyers. It was one of the reasons why Wargaming put the Campbeltown in the game. Let's maybe talk a little about the Campbeltown itself. What is in the game? Okay, playing with the Campbeltown was very fun. The ship is placed on tier 3 and cost 1,650 golden eagles, which I think is not much, and in comparison to other ships which cost same amount of doubloons, I think it's the best. The others are, I think, Diana and Emden, both are cruiser class ships, but this one is destroyer, so if you are playing it correctly, you can get a lot of experience and a lot of cash, because this is about you usually play the premium ships for the cash. The earnings are much higher. On the low tier, of course, earnings are lower than on other tiers, so Yeah, but still they are very good and can provide you a lot of fun and a lot of money here. Okay, so historically the armament is accurate. We got 3 102 mm guns, mounted one on the front deck, two between second and third funnel. We got 6 torpedo tubes, 3 per board side, and we got some anti-aircraft armament, but probably this will be not used much. However, later about this. What is a byte here, because probably most of you wondering why should I buy premium ship, which is basically VIX class ship, which is available in a game for free. Well, the VIX class has torpedo range of 5 kilometers and the Campbeltown has 7.5 kilometers. So as you can see, here is a byte from Wargaming. So you can play also as stealth class here. You can do sneak attacks because concealment status of this ship is on the sea is 6.5 kilometers. So when you're playing US destroyers, you are usually trying to get as close as possible, put full salvo on a ship, which is basically deadly for him, and you are going to another target or retreating. At this point in Campbeltown, you can try to play as steel destroyer. However, there are some difficulties with it because I think the torpedo tube arcs are a little bit too short. At least in front they should be a little bit much wider for a couple of degrees, so we can shoot earlier. Otherwise the ship is not managing to get these 2 shots of torpedo salvos within 1 kilometer. So you have 7.5 kilometer and you are visible from 6.5, so you need to shoot you need to shoot 2 salvos within that 1 kilometer and try to retreat, so you won't be detected. This can be hard to do, but it's possible, of course. Challenging your speed and trying to maneuver swiftly, it's possible. Historically, the town class had very bad turning rates. Here are corrected, so we have VIX class, most likely statistics 2.7 rudder shift time, and nice, we got 1 knot speed more than VIX class. We got 35 knots speed, so of course it's for our advantage, we can use it. I think during the matches, the most probably, if you are trying to get hit from 7.5 kilometers, that can be hard because you are shooting 3 torpedoes, yes, so the spread is very wide. So this can be done if the player you are shooting is lazy. He's not changing the course, he's not changing the speed. There are still such players in the game who playing only to sail with full speed and they do nothing. They trying to shoot or they focusing on something else, I don't know. But if you are trying to get hit on skilled player who changing the speed and who is changing the course, with that 3 salvo torpedo can be challenging. So the stealth can not be option here, unfortunately, and probably you will need to go close and personal, or just check your opponents correctly. Well, opponent, the matchmaking and opponent. During the gameplays I had several battles with 5th tier, but this was only several comparing to most of battles against 2nd tiers, 1st tiers and 4th tiers. 2 and 3 is very often. So the option here is you have first battleships as opponents, and those should be your primary targets, I think. Don't challenge the cruisers because they are most likely fast shooting. You are paper armored, so your armor will be torn apart. Better is to challenge the slow target, which probably you can hit very easily, like battleships. Other destroyers are not a problem if you of course have torpedo ready, if you have good maneuver abilities, maneuver skills. Otherwise, there might be some problems because the Campbeltown is actually not a good gunboat. Remember, you have only 3 guns here, and 1 is at front and 2 are on the side. So usually you're using only 2, and most of destroyers have 4 at least. So you are outgunned, and without any support you most likely be killed by other destroyers who try to kill you. I do not recommend to go against Soviet destroyers because their guns are very fast shooting, so you'll be very quickly dead. Also, US destroyers can be problem here. IGN destroyers are other things. They are also steel destroyers, so their gun armament is usually low, so you can have chance here, equal chance. But still, you should focus on battleships, and as you can see on my videos, I several times tried to go very close and personal. This was also experiment because I was trying to get this ship tested very good, if it's soaking damage or not. I was playing some destroyers previously from US and from IGN, also Soviets, and my experience was some were just very fragile and they were detonating on every hit, so this was annoying. Here I was surprised because the Campbeltown could soak a lot of damage. As you can see on my one of battles, I was broadside to the other battleship who was shooting at me, and basically I managed to survive 2 salvo and managed to sink him by torpedo attack. And that's the problem here as well, the torpedo attacks. You have only 3 torpedoes per broadside and reload is 1 minute, so you need to coordinate your attack very good, and they must be very accurate. Otherwise you will most likely be dead very quickly, or you will not just do much damage. So you must point your targets very accurate. I do not recommend to attack cruisers again, mostly those fast shooting cruisers, like for example Bogatyr, Novik or Kolberg, which has 3 seconds reload and can turn your armor apart very quickly. Use your team. It's the best tactics to focus on target which team is trying to kill, and of course it must be battleship because this is your priority as destroyer. You can also try to sneak out and try to get your enemy carrier. Enemy carriers of course are occurring because they are tier 4. You can get enemy carrier in tier 4 5 battle, or only tier 4 battle. Sometimes they are occurring in tier 3, tier 4 battles, so it happens. However, don't engage with other aircrafts because you have very low anti-aircraft defense. I think you should stay away from them. Best is to put your anti-aircraft defense off manually by P button, so that your crew will not shoot them if they will pass you by, and this will cause they will detect you just simply, so you'll be visible for everyone on battlefield, which is bad. Of course you can try to go kamikaze, try to go personally close to the other ships. Well, that is about the Campbeltown. Oh well, this is premium ships, so of course the experience and the earnings are very good here for the old premium ships. I think the most I've earned 250,000 for this premium ship. It was very good. I killed 5 targets. Yes, for battleships, 5 targets and 1 cruiser accidentally. So this was a very good match. Unfortunately, my Fraps recording had a failure and didn't record that. That's a shame. But the 5 kills and 250,000 with over 100,000 damage is, I think, records for me for this ship right now. Usually average earnings are on the level of 150,000 and 2-3 kills. That's the average for this Campbeltown ship. So you can see it's worth to start to train your captain for upcoming Royal Navy ships. I think it will do. If you don't want to buy Wars by the Campbeltown, it's very good for this option. What else? Well, I have very good fun with this ship, so I really recommend you to have it. It's very fun, very good ship, and not expensive. It may not be the best ship, but with a little practice it's pay off, and in skilled hand it can do a lot of damage. Of course, some ships can be better and easier with handling, and Campbeltown is just placing somewhere in the middle of this list. But you must remember that in front there is always player who decides where to go, who to attack, and how to do it solo or with the team. Okay folks, I think you heard enough, and this is all for today. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and leave a comment. Also, you can subscribe via watermark place in bottom right corner or button under the video, as I will be releasing more. So this is all for now. Take care. Bye bye.